What is going on, everyone? I'm upset. I'm definitely upset, but this isn't a game where I'm swinging, punching, and screaming at the TV. Don't get me wrong. There were some things that really got me upset, like the second half. It wasn't very strong, and especially with how we started the first half, but you need to play a factor here that we're playing the Golden State Warriors. We went toe-to-toe with the best in the league after beating them in the Oracle Arena. They come here and we go into a tough battle with them where we fell by 3. I know it got ugly, and I'm sure people want to rip apart Brett Brown, but you take a look at the errors that went down on the player side of it down the stretch. Like Mike Scott, he fouled late. Like, that can't happen. That's a veteran player who had a really great night who made a mental error. JJ Redick just missing threes and missing shots all night long. How was that Brett Brown's fault? There's one thing I didn't like out of Brett Brown down the stretch, and that was the fact that he told Ben Simmons with 10 seconds left, down 2, to miss a free throw on purpose. So it was a 3-point game. Ben Simmons, after he got fouled, went to the charity stripe in important, crucial minutes. He drained the first one after he nailed all of his free throws so far in the game. Brett Brown told him, because of no timeouts, miss on purpose with 10 seconds left. I didn't really like that call. I would have probably drained it and then fouled. That was the only thing I did not like out of Brett Brown's call tonight. So, I mean, this was a game where the Sixers had a chance to take it, and they never did. It was literally hanging there for the Sixers to try and make something happen, and they couldn't execute down the stretch. But that's not necessarily Brett Brown. When I take a look at what happened late in this game, I'm not staring at Brett Brown and saying, "You ruined it," because I know a lot of people are, but in my opinion, that's not the way that I go on this game. At what point does it get you? Well, Ben Simmons, yeah, he had a triple-double, and I mean, that's great. He had 25, 15, and 11, I believe his stat line was. Yes, 25, 15, and 11, but he had 9 turnovers. At what point is 9 turnovers a lot? Tobias Harris, great first half. 16 points to be exact, but only getting very limited buckets in the second. He had 4 total points. I think he only actually hit 1 field goal in the second half. You know, the reason why the Sixers were able to be involved in this game in the second half in that third quarter was, one, because of Mike Scott crushing 6 threes and having 22 points, and because at the charity stripe for the Golden State Warriors, they were missing their free throws. Like, listen, not every game's going to be perfect. What I take out of this is being on your third string center as well. Jonah Bolden, a guy who wasn't getting any minutes at all when Boban and Joel Embiid were healthy. On our third string center, we were a three-pointer away from actually tying this ball game. We had chances. TJ coming up clutch late with a monster steal. Tobias steps out of bounds. Like, we had these chances, but the Sixers didn't grab it. But when it comes to working hard, battling, playing with grit, fighting, they did that tonight. They were in this game. They had a chance. They didn't, and that's upsetting. And I'm not saying it's not, and I'm not saying there's not things to clean up. But when it comes to playing the best team in the league, after already beating them once in their building, and there's a redemption factor when you don't have your best player, on top of that, they're coming off of 2 horrible losses, one of them being to Orlando, it's tough to do. It's tough to sweep the series against the Golden State Warriors. Going into the season, would you not say, yeah, I would take a split with Golden State? Absolutely. Of course you would. Of course you would. Now, I get they didn't have Clay. Steph Curry, with foul trouble, he goes off for 28, and he was pretty big late in the ball game. Kevin Durant, 34, 5-5. He was tough all night long as well. He was really hard to deal with. The Sixers, I really am hurting from the loss because I thought there was a chance to maybe do it, especially after the first half. In the first half, we were great. We were winning 67-55 at half, so we put up a really decent amount of points. Ben Simmons in the first half alone was actually amazing, like insanely amazing. 17, 7, and 3. TJ had valuable minutes. He had 8 points. Like I said, Tobias with 16. The first half, the Sixers looked great. They looked great. The second half, not so much. They made adjustments. That's what great teams in this league, that's what they do. Steve Kerr did a good job. The one thing that I really don't like, though, and of course this can go on Brett Brown, but Joel Embiid not being in the mix is a difference maker with this. Our half-court offense stinks. It's horrible. There's no movement with the ball. It's really ugly. You can't get good looks. Our half-court offense is so bad. You add Joel Embiid, though, slows the game down, put him in a low block, let him do work with his back to the basket. It definitely changes this completely, but something about the half-court offense. When we run, it's great. But when we slow things down, it can get tough to watch. But Ben Simmons with 9 turnovers is bad. J.J. Redick not making shots is bad. Brett Brown talked about both of those issues after the game. I heard it on my ride home. And he was saying, JJ, maybe I'm playing him a little bit too much right now. He's an older guy. He's in a slump. And clearly he's missing Joel Embiid. It makes no sense that he can't make these wide open looks without Joel Embiid on the floor. But he's clearly missing the dribble handoff thing with Joel. He's a problem, though. He's a problem offensively and defensively right now. Ben with the 9 turnovers, that has to stop. I mean, he had a great night numbers-wise. He had a big triple-double, but it has to stop. When you take a look at what DeMarcus Cousins and these bigger guys, Draymond Green, what they do to Jonah Bolden and Mike Scott at the 5, I sit there and say, what are you going to do? Like, what do you do? There's nothing you can do. It has to happen. That's what happens that way. When Boogie goes off for I think he finished with 28 points. Let's take a look. DeMarcus Cousins had 25 and 8. Like, what are you supposed to do? Draymond Green grabbing boards. I mean, we're going to get out-rebounded. That's what's going to happen. Although, which is very odd that we actually had more rebounds. But in the feel of the game, they were getting big boards. DeMarcus Cousins was grabbing boards. Draymond Green was grabbing these big boards on Jonah Bolden and Mike Scott and things like that. Because, well, you know, it's tough in the paint. It's tough in the paint. They had 44 points in the paint. You know that's going to be an issue going into this thing. Like, you know it's going to be. But to be only down 3 at the end of this thing, the team fought. Like, the team fought. They played hard, and they came up short because of some errors. Yes, they need to clean that up. Yes. But it's weird. It's weird for me being a legit, like, not that I'm saying I'm a confident guy. It's not like I'm confident with it. It's taking a positive out of it. It's weird for me to take a positive. I'm normally not like that. I am normally swinging haymakers and pissed off. At the time during the game at Xfinity, which was an awesome atmosphere, it's almost like almost being at the game. It's so crazy. It's so loud. People are screaming. I was definitely upset. But on my drive home, I calmed down and said, oh, listen, you're going up against the Warriors. You already beat them once. They're coming off 2 losses. The team played hard. Mike Scott should never foul. We probably shouldn't miss on purpose with that free throw with Ben Simmons. But the team kept grinding. There were shots to make at the end of the game that we just didn't. There were also things that could have helped. Like, for example, there was a 4-minute stretch where we couldn't score a basket. We get outscored in the third quarter 38-23. But you got to give credit to this Warriors team. Like, they're good for a reason. Not everything's going to be absolutely perfect when it comes to playing the Warriors, right? Let's be real. They make teams uncomfortable. And actually, I think the Sixers match up well with the Warriors when it comes to matchups. There's other teams in this league that are nowhere near as good as the Warriors that we struggle with. Brooklyn Nets, Boston Celtics. When it comes to the Warriors and our bodies, we actually match up somewhat decent against them. Also, turnovers. Our turnovers, 21. What happens when you turn the ball over on this team? Probably a lot of transition threes. Making you pay for it. That's why this team is so lethal. That's why this team is so good. I know that wins are so crucial right now, and this backstretch is so important, but you take this one for what it is. You rub it off. You battled. It was a dogfight. I'll take a moral victory out of that, even though there really is no such thing at this point. But it's not like the team got blown out. They fought. They were really into this thing. They played really great in the first. They struggled in the second, but you take some learning curves with this. You do. Ben Simmons, when it was a 3-point game, had the ball in his hands and went to the charity stripe and drained the first one. Now, we didn't get a chance to see if he would have made the second one, but he had a good night at the line. I'll take that for a positive. When you look at some other stat lines for the Sixers, Tobias 20-9, Jimmy Butler 21-9, and Mike Scott really was what held us in this with 22 points. TJ with 10 points and 4 assists. He was awesome. He was awesome off the bench. He really was. That late steal, the energy, the mid-range jumper that he always nails. He was really awesome for the 76ers in this game and gave us another chance late before I think it was the Tobias stepped out of bounds on that last three, which, I mean, he was double-teamed anyway with 2 guys in his face, but let me know what you think down below on this one. I'm taking it for what it is, and I'm rubbing it off. You split with the Warriors. And I'm sure Brett Brown's going to get ripped apart. The only thing I didn't like out of him was the 10-second thing. But you can't yell at him for all the other situations that went wrong. JJ having 6 points and being a liability right now, how's that Brett's fault? Mike Scott fouling, how's that Brett's fault? He went with a short bench today and having to roll with Jonah Bolden instead of Joel Embiid or Boban. I didn't think Brett Brown was the reason why we lost the game. I think the execution down the stretch from the players and guys like Tobias having a weak second half and JJ, I mean, that's what it was. The players weren't performing to the level we needed them to. That's my opinion on it, though. I'm sure Brett's still going to get ripped, though. He won't get credit for a tough OKC win. He won't get credit for other wins. But on the losses, he'll get ripped apart. And I'm not trying to sit here and just say he is definitely the guy. But I'm just saying, this game I don't think is his fault entirely. And he never gets credit for wins. That's all I'm trying to say. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Are you taking a positive out of it, or are you just pissed? Because, you know, it can go either way. But I'm taking it as, let's move on to the next one, and Joel Embiid will hopefully be back. Reports are saying that it seems like this week he will be. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.